What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sports Grind Season 4, Episode 5. My name's Tyler Wargo.
And I'm Mickey Perella.
And we are finally back with Mickey. Mickey obviously hasn't been on the show in a long time. It's actually been like since Season 1 since he's been back in the studio, so this is a bless to him. So not only just that, but just so much has happened in the NBA, NHL, and MLB. Obviously, we haven't been here in 3 weeks. So much to talk about. I mean, NBA Final Four, NHL playoffs. Playoffs, obviously, for the NHL, it's already wrapping up quick. And MLB, a lot of stuff has been happening, a lot of big scoring games that we'll be covering, going with high school sports. So let's kick it off, because I know we got a lot to talk about. Warriors advanced to the finals, dominated the Mavericks, 120-110. Series is 4-1. And let's look at this. This was a no-doubter, predictable game right here. I predicted this whole thing. I mean, I knew that the Warriors were going to just... Look, they were going to allow the Mavericks to at least win one game in Dallas, but besides that, they were just going to absolutely blow them in. So, Western Conference MVP is Steph Curry. Steph Curry had 3 rebounds, 9 assists, and 15 points. Now, my question to Mickey is, first of all, I mean, what's your thoughts? But not only that, did the Mavericks actually have a chance at this?
I don't think so. I really don't think the Mavericks really had that big of a chance. Because if we really think about this, the Golden State Warriors are a well-oiled machine. When they got Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green is their big 3. But they also have tons of young players, you know, with Jonathan Kuminga and Jordan Poole. And they don't even have James Wiseman, and they're still beating up on teams. And the other problem is with Dallas is that it's Luka Doncic and really nobody else. I mean, Jalen Brunson's okay. And Spencer Dinwiddie is okay, but besides those 2 guys, they don't really have the depth that Golden State does. And Golden State is just a good team basketball. They've been there before. They've won championships. They know what they're doing, and they were clearly the better team, and it was the expected outcome.
And not only that, but we have seen the Warriors in the finals before. Like they're used to this. They're like the Cavaliers a couple of years back. I mean, they're just this is like their every year thing. You know what I mean? Like they always make it to the playoffs. They have that playoff chemistry that going for them. As for the Mavericks, we don't see them normally go this far, so it kind of gave Warriors have confidence. So now we take over to the big game. This is something that I really want to discuss. I mean, first of all, last time we were here, the series were tied between the Celtics and Bucks. It was 1-1. We've came far from that. Celtics dominated the Bucks, and ever since they dominated the Bucks and moved on, we knew that they were onto something. I mean, the key players right now for the Celtics to look at is Jason Tatum, Al Horford, and Marcus Smart. I mean, so far right now, the Celtics are playing the Heat. The series is now 3-2. Tonight they take it in Boston. This is a really good game right here. But now let's look at this. Before we get into anything else, let's talk about Marcus Smart for a second. This guy has definitely been having an up and down type playoff run. This is the guy to look at for the Celtics. You know, last game he played, he was doing really well. But the games before that, I mean, he was the reason why they lost game 2. What's your thoughts on Marcus Smart?
Yeah, Marcus Smart is definitely one of those players who goes up and down and is very streaky, definitely on the offensive side of the ball. He kind of shoots, comes and goes at times, and that can kind of bring his downfall, even though he's been there for years and he's kind of been the heart and soul of the Celtics in a lot of different ways, definitely on the defensive end, even winning Defensive Player of the Year this year. But definitely on the offensive side of the ball, he can get very streaky, and that can lead to problems with the Celtics, he being like a kind of a combo guard guy where, you know, the guard position, you have to be able to shoot the ball.
Besides that, Marcus Smart, which really makes him excellent, is how aggressive he is. He's one of the most aggressive guys on the Celtics right now, and that is obviously key to have in the playoffs. But let's look at another point guard, Kyle Lowry. This guy obviously used to be a former Raptor, and now he's really been taking the ball into the court with the Heat. And he's been struggling as of late. Obviously, he just got off his injury in the playoffs. He's just new right now to the Heat right now, and his adjustment to the Heat in the playoffs has just been really a slump. What's your thoughts?
He hasn't been good right now, mostly because of the hamstring injury he's kind of going through and playing with. He's not at full strength, and that has definitely hampered him in these playoffs. But he's also kind of declining as well. He's not the same guy he was in Toronto when he won the championship back in 2019 as one of the key players on that team. And really, he was one of the best point guards in the league. He was a 6-time All-Star with Toronto. He's pretty much, I think, a borderline Hall of Famer. Like, this guy was an absolute dog on the court. But really, at this point, he's not really giving the Miami Heat really anything. Gabe Vincent is their backup guy, and he's outplaying him right now. And honestly, with Miami down, they got to make a change, or he's got to sit out or something.
Bottom line is, I think one thing that the Heat really need to do is you got to keep Butler healthy, and you got to keep Butler on the court with Lowry, because apparently if you keep Lowry on the court with Butler, he seems to get the points on the board. But when Butler's not out there and Kyle Lowry doesn't have his chemistry, I mean, it's really a slump.
Definitely,
So.
Jimmy Butler's the machine that kind of gets the heat going.
Yeah, I agree. And Adebayo. Don't forget about Bam Adebayo. Celtics now. The last question is Celtics in the finals. Do you see it?
Yes, I predicted a Warriors Celtics finals. I'm sticking with that bet. We're going to see it. I think the Warriors are going to pull it out, though.
I know you guys haven't heard from Mickey's predictions, so Celtics Warriors. I know,
Yeah,
I know it's a little late, but
I had this before. Definitely when this the Final Four was set, I definitely had Golden State and Boston going to the finals. I think Golden State's going to pull it out because they have the more experience. They got the guys who won the championship. Steve Kerr is another coach who's won a championship. Just championship vibes all around this team right now, and it's kind of felt like that since the beginning of the season.
That's a good reason right there. I mean, I can agree with you. As a Celtic fan, I can't really say that. My prediction has already been through the drain. I had Phoenix facing Boston, obviously. And, you know, considering that Phoenix had that open goal last year as they faced the Bucks in the finals, I thought they were going to run it back again. I guess not. I mean, but hey, hopefully Chris Paul doesn't retire because maybe the Suns can come back next year. But I certainly had the Celtics facing the Suns with the Suns winning. But now that prediction's over, I'm fully on the Celtics as I always was. I'm a huge Boston fan, so I really hope the Celtics pull it off. I definitely think they're going to win tonight against the Heat. And yeah, to move on from that, we're now going to take over the MLB from yesterday. Cubs lost in Cincinnati 5-20. Big scoring game right here. I mean, Cincinnati getting 20 runs. I mean, that's something that you would never hear. Reds record is now 14-30. Cubs record is now 18-26. Man of the game was Kyle Farmer. This guy, obviously, he's been on the Reds for some time. He has 1 home run, 2 RBIs, and 4 hits. And considering how this game played out, the question I have about this for Mickey is this a rival team after what we saw by the aggressiveness by both teams?
Yeah, these teams are definitely, competitive against each other. They're definitely rivals to each other. But I think in terms of them being teams that you're really going to care about, both those teams are not going to be cared about. I mean, the Reds got off to a terrible start, and they're on a hot streak, and they're still 14-30. The Cubs are 18-26, and they haven't been good neither because they don't really have a good team. So neither of those teams are really going to compete in the playoffs. But I guess a rival against each other, I guess they can compete against each other, I guess.
After what I saw last night, I mean, there's definitely some tension between these teams, and we will be seeing these teams face off mid-season again. And I definitely agree. This is a rival team. We should be seeing these guys face. So now we head on to the Trop. Yankees down the Rays 7-2. Yankees are now first in the AL East. This is something that a lot of Yankee fans like to see. As for the Rays, they fall behind second. Nestor Cortez Jr. had 5 strikeouts, giving up only 1 walk and 4 hits. Nestor Cortez, this guy, we don't see a lot from this guy, but considering that he was able to hold down the Rays was pretty good, considering how good the Rays have in their history. And now, and the Yankees right now, they're on a 3-game win streak, and let's hope they can keep this alive. But the question is, will they keep this alive?
Yes, I think they can keep this alive for only a little bit because, win streaks and lose streaks happen a little bit. But I definitely think they can get another win because, honestly, the Yankees have been a very surprising team. Going into the year, the Yankees were going to be like, we don't really know. Like, are they better than Tampa? Are they better than Toronto? Are they even better than Boston? Like, it was really weird where the Yankees fit into the whole spectrum because their offseason was really disappointing. I mean, getting Josh Donaldson and trading away Gary Sanchez left a kind of a bad taste in fans' mouth. But honestly, the Yankees have been awesome and been pretty much the best team in the league because their pitching has been phenomenal, up and down. Garrett Cole, Nestor Cortez Jr. has really stepped up. Severino, Tyon, all their pitchers have stepped up, and their offense is doing well, mostly being charged by Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton. So honestly, I think that the Yankees are going to be a team, and also the Rays, even though they lost, they're still a very, respectable team. They always find good players, no matter where they find them, and they always are a good team. Expect both teams in the playoffs this year.
But let's look at the division. This division is very competitive. When you got the Red Sox, Blue Jays, and Rays in there, I mean, it's going to be really hard for the Yankees. We should not be seeing them in first place for a while. They're definitely going to lose it to the Rays, but they can always bounce back.
And lastly, the Orioles are on the come-up in a couple years.
Yeah, but that's still debatable.
Yeah, that's still
debatable.
Yeah, that's true.
Nationals punished the Rockies 3-7 in D.C. Tigers stunned the Indians 3-4. Phillies knocked the Braves 4-1. Aaron Nola, wow, this is a starter for you. 10 strikeouts, giving up only 5 hits. Considering that you're facing the Braves, in my opinion, Aaron Nola, this is one of his best games. I mean, this is shocking. Considering how good the Braves have been, considering that they're obviously the former World Series champs, being able to just strike 10 of them out is really good. Now, on the Braves side, and a lot of Braves fans want to know is, should we see more from Matt Olson? Ever since we saw this trade by Oakland, Matt Olson really hasn't been doing that well. What's your thoughts?
I do think that they need a little bit more out of him, but honestly, at the same time, Olson's not going to be Freddie Freeman, who went over to the Dodgers. He's just not. Freddie Freeman's been the best first baseman in the entire league for pretty much the last, 5, 6 years now. So to expect Matt Olson to completely replace Freddie Freeman is kind of silly, but I definitely think we should expect more out of Olson because he hasn't lived up to the expectations that he played in Oakland either.
I agree. But now, the last question is, I know you're a Mets fan. Let's kind of compare the Braves to the Mets. Obviously, the Braves, they kind of fall behind the Mets right now in second place in the NL East. Can the Braves surpass the Mets? Now, hold on. I know that the Mets have been they've been the hottest team right now in the league. I mean, as much as I'm a Dodger fan, I like to give credit to the Mets being that team, considering how bad they were last season with all the injuries and everything. Can they surpass, can the Braves eventually, maybe not for this whole season, but will they eventually pass the Mets?
I'm going to say no, and here's the reason why I say no. I just do not trust their pitching staff at the end of the day for the Braves. Because I think the Mets, when they're healthy, because the Mets are going through a lot of injuries right now. DeGrom is out, Scherzer is out, McGill is out. That's 3 of their top 5 best pitchers that are out right now, and they're kind of, floating water right now. But do I think that the Braves can catch them? No. They've been disappointing this year. They just doesn't feel like their year. Acuna's been hurt, and he was coming off the ACL. Now his groin is hurt. And then again, their pitching staff. I mean, you really think that Kyle Wright and Charlie Morton hasn't been as good as he was in years past. Soroka has not been the same. He hasn't even returned since his double Achilles injury. I mean, they really just don't have the pitchers to compete with the Mets at the end of the day. And I think if the Mets continue to keep float for a while, get the injured players back, they're just a better team. Honestly, I think the Marlins could make more of a run for their money than the Mets.
All right.
Yes, because they have 2 pitchers in Pablo Lopez and Sandy Alcantara, who might be Cy Young candidates this year.
Yeah.
And the offense for the Marlins has been better with Jorge Soler added and Joey Wendell from the Rays added. Their offense is better, so I think that they might be a better team than the Braves.
All right, we'll see that. Now, another thing is they did lose Jock Peterson, and they lost Soler. They lost a lot of players. I mean, and Freeman. They lost a lot of top guys.
That's the biggest loss.
Being able to come back from that is definitely going to hurt them. But it's time for a new team, honestly, because the Braves, they've been doing well a couple seasons back. Royals conquered the Twins 3-2. Brewers shocked the Cardinals 4-3. Red Sox crushed the White Sox in Southside Chicago. Red Sox record is 21-23. They're just hanging on. But I do respect that they're keeping the win-loss consistent, going with the White Sox as they have a 22-22 record. Man of the game was Trevor Story. Now, last time we came, now let me tell you something. Last time we came back here talking about Trevor Story, I was talking bad about him, and I kind of take back what I said about him, but I also did not. Obviously, in the beginning of the season for Trevor Story, he was still adjusting to the Red Sox. He was not doing as well as he did. And I think he found his place on the Red Sox finally because these past 2 weeks, he has hit almost 2 grand slams now, home runs left and right, really getting the runs that he really wants and really helping the Red Sox crucially, which is why we're seeing a lot of Red Sox wins. Trevor Story last night had 2 home runs, 2 RBIs, and 1 walk. But, yeah, Trevor Story being able to come back from, just that adjustment period of his time with the Red Sox is really helping.
Absolutely.
And now the question is, the pitcher for the Red Sox last night was Michael Wacha. He only had 2 strikeouts. Now, could we see more from this guy as he used to be that guy for the Cardinals?
No, because he's kind of bounced around the league at some point at this time. I mean, he hasn't been the same guy since he left the Cardinals. He was on the Mets, he didn't work out. He was on the Rays, he didn't work out. And now he's on the Red Sox, it's not working out. I think his career's kind of in jeopardy at this point.
I agree. He's also old, too. He's a veteran. So we now take you over to the Blue Jays as they hunted down the Angels 6-3. Dodgers owned the Diamondbacks 14-1. This is the typical Dodger win away. Dodgers are now first place in the NL West. D-backs are 4th in the NL West. D-backs, they're definitely doing better than they'd have last year. They are surpassing Colorado. But let's look at Freddie Freeman. I mean, this guy the past couple games has just been absolutely on a tear for Los Angeles. 5 RBIs, 3 runs, and 4 hits. Now, after that, that nice tear up that Freddie Freeman have, let's look at the Diamondbacks. I mean, considering all the guys that they have, Dalton Varsho, they have Christian Walker, they have all these players, Ketel Marte, they have like these veterans on their team. They're still not able to put the runs on the board, still not satisfying their coach. And what can we see the D-backs improve on?
I think that they need to get a couple more pitchers in there.
I agree.
I think that Madison Bumgarner is kind of a good stabilizer, but he's not the ace that he was in San Francisco. And you have Zach Gallen, who has a lot of talent. But besides that, they just need to, get some more pitchers.
Their bullpen,
yeah,
I think, is just
their bullpen's
absolutely
not good either.
Yeah, I agree.
They could use an entire offensive juice too. Like their team's not good as they usually are.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely feel like it is possible maybe in the years to come they will be good again. I mean, the Diamondbacks, just pick up players. Look into the farm system. I mean, you got plenty of guys on the Reno Aces that can really step up to the plate to help the Diamondbacks. But hopefully the Diamondbacks can maybe improve next year, but I don't think this is going to be the year yet again. As we now take you over to Oakland, Rangers smoked the Athletics 4-1. Now we will take you over to NHL playoff action. A lot has happened in the NHL playoff action. Last time I came here, we weren't even in the playoffs, so a lot has happened. A lot of shocking things have happened. Lightning advanced in the playoffs. This was shocking. Florida Panthers were on such a good run this season, and they lost 4-1. They only got one win in the entire series against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay took it home. Apparently, their goalie allowed for the Lightning. The goalie only allowed one goal, which is absolutely the entire series. He only allowed one goal. Like, that's crazy. So I'm very scared if the Rangers do pass Carolina. Whoever wins this Carolina-New York series, and whoever steps up to face the Lightning, good luck. These guys are scary. Edmonton advanced in the playoffs, winning 5-4. Yet again, I would like to say, last time I was here, I had Calgary facing Carolina in the series. I'm really good at predictions, but not this year. I lost another one. I had Calgary Flames winning the whole thing. They got out by Edmonton. They've kept it close the entire series, Edmonton and Calgary. So I'm really shocked that Edmonton was able to pull it off, especially away in Calgary. Zach Hyman for Edmonton had 7 shots on goals, 2 attempts, and 1 goal. Connor McDavid, though, was the king of everyone as he scored the overtime winner. Without Connor McDavid in that lineup, I don't think the Edmonton Oilers would have won that. Now, let's look at this. Duncan Keith, obviously a former Chicago Blackhawk. He's one of the best Blackhawk players that they ever had. Duncan Keith is someone that we would like to see play more with the Calgary Flames than with the Chicago Blackhawks. This guy hasn't been doing anything. This guy, Duncan Keith, he only has 2 shots on goals, that's it. This guy, we don't even see him have that much action on the ice. Considering that he's a veteran, we would like to see more from him.
Definitely.
Avalanche lead the Blues 3-2 in the series. And now the last matchup I would like to get to is the Rangers taking the L in Carolina 3-1. Wow. First of all, if the Rangers can beat the Pittsburgh Penguins just like the Celtics, they're on to something. They are keeping it close. This series right now is 3-2, Carolina on top. And as for the Rangers, they fall behind 2 games right now to win the series. I'm really hoping that the Rangers can win this. But let's look at this guy. The man of the game last night was Andrei Svechnikov, as this guy had 5 shots on goals with 1 goal. This guy is on a tear right now. He's literally every game that you see, this guy at least has a goal. This guy and the goal he put together is the reason why Carolina's up front right now. We got to see more from the Rangers right now. Hopefully, when they come back to New York to play the Hurricanes, they will come back and win. Igor Shesterkin, though, had more saves than the goalie on the Carolina Hurricanes, as this guy had 34 saves with allowing only 3 goals. Shesterkin, this guy came right up from the farm system, and this guy absolutely was on a tear. Now, he's just not doing what he can, and hopefully we can see more from him. Now, the last question I have, and I know Mickey doesn't watch hockey, but the last thing I have is, can the Rangers win Game 6?
Yeah, I think they can sneak it out because I think that they have good intensity, and I think they can do it.
I don't know. I don't think so. Because as much as Carolina's been on a tear, I literally have Carolina going all the way to the Stanley Cup. Carolina has been having the best year that they've ever had. I definitely think that gives them the confidence to do well. But the Rangers, though, their confidence after beating the Penguins, it's going to be a real close one. I hope that they can take this again in New York to advance to Game 6. So hopefully they can win. So lastly, we now take you to high school sports. Danbury faced Brookfield yesterday. They really didn't give a report on the score, but besides that, what matters is their record. Danbury's record is 17-5. Brookfield's record is 18-2. Brookfield has a 6-game win streak. As for Danbury, they have a 2-game win streak. I mean, Brookfield, I mean, they've been giving the players that they've been facing, I mean, this is why they're doing so well. 18-2, Brookfield 18-2 for high school baseball.
Crazy record.
It's crazy. And hopefully Pompey can be just like that. So
yeah, definitely.
So yeah, so that's really going to wrap it up for high school sports and the show. But what I like to say is, go Rangers and go Celtics. I know you don't really have a team right now to go for, but he has the Mets.
Yeah,
so.
They've been good this year. I've been happy about that. Lastly, before we wrap up, I just wanted to say that I'm so happy to be back at the studio with Tyler. I'm just so thrilled. It's been 806 days since March 12th of 2020 was the last day that I was in here doing a show, and I'm thrilled to be back. It is awesome. You know, I did all of season 1, but it got kind of shut down due to the COVID. And then we did season 2 back at your house, and then I was off and on season 3 because of college, and you kind of started season 4 without me because I was still at college, but now I'm going to be here the whole summer. You're going to see more of me throughout the whole summer because I'm so excited to be back, and it's just so awesome.
That's awesome, man. I love the hype. So yeah, Mickey's back and going, and hopefully the next time we come back, we will have a winner of the finals. Let's hope it's the Celtics, because if it is the Celtics, you'll see all Celtic gears on here, and if it's the Rangers, you'll just see this hat, but that's about it. And yeah, that's going to wrap it up for Sports Grind Season 4, Episode 5. My name is Tyler Wargo.
And I'm Mickey Perella.
And thank you guys for tuning in. And yeah, see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye.